Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Quartet Lesson 11 Part 3 live stream. Today we're going to be covering nounはさておくとして、いずれにしても、とばかりは言えない。And that's it, just 3 sections tonight. These are the colors we use for each of the grammar streams. We have light blue for all of our new grammar points, and the other colors are for words that we haven't covered yet in Genki or Quartet, but which show up on the JLPT or that we feel are quite common, or that dictionaries feel are quite common, so are probably worth learning. As you know, all of our live streams are sponsored by the members of TokenYandy.com and YouTube and Patreon. So thank you so much for all of your support, guys. We really appreciate all of you. So our first section is leaving aside with noun wa sateoku to shite. That's pretty long, right? You can shorten that whole thing too. Noun wa sateoki, which is just a shortened version of that whole thing. They both mean the same thing, leaving aside something. Let's talk about this other thing. So it's sort of a way of changing the subject explicitly changing the subject. So yeah, to make it, you just have a noun, possibly a nominalized phrase. And wa, that's the wa particle, by the way. Sateoku to shite. So we're emphasizing here that we want to leave it aside. Sateoku to shite. Oku is to put aside or to place down. So let's put that over here. Put that over here. Sateoku to shite. And let's talk about this thing. And the one below it is just a shorter version, which is more casual. So noun wa sateoki. So we're going to put that over here. And let's talk about the next thing. So aside from this thing, let's talk about this subject. You'll see in the example sentence is what I mean, obviously. So let's go to the first example sentence. We have 無駄話はさておくとして、そろそろ本題に入りましょう. So leaving aside the frivolous talk, it's about time we get into the real topic. So here we have 無駄話. 無駄話 is, frivolous talk. It's meaningless conversation. 無駄話. 無駄 is wasted or, a waste. And banashi is, of course, hanashi, a talk or a conversation or a story. So 無駄話はさておくとして, leaving that aside. そろそろ means it's about time. 本題に, so in the direction of the real topic. 本題に入りましょう. Let's get into the real topic. All right, next one is テストの結果はさておくとして、授業中は先生の話をちゃんと聞いてください. So leaving aside the test results, let's put those aside. Please listen to the teacher during class, as you should. You should be listening to the teacher. So テストの結果, so the results of the test, は, that's the topic, new topic here, but what's being emphasized here is the さておくとして. Let's put that aside. Leave it aside, guys. 授業中, so during the class, は, and that wa here is emphasizing the next part. 先生の話, so what the teacher is saying. を, and it's a direct object of 聞いてください. And we have ちゃんと before 聞いてください. ちゃんと means as you should or as is proper or something like that. So please listen to the teacher as you should. この服のデザインはさておき、肌触りはとても良い. So aside from the design of these clothes, they feel very good on the skin. So you can use it this way too. This is obviously a more conversational wa sateoki, so it's cut down to the shorter version. We're still talking about the clothes here, right? So the topic hasn't entirely changed, but what we're done talking about is the clothing design. Now we're going to talk about how it feels. So you can use it in this way as well. So この服のデザインはさておき. So さておき. So we're going to leave aside talk about the design of these clothes. 肌触りは, so 肌触り is the feel on your skin, just how the clothes feels when you're wearing them. はとても良い. It's really good. Next section is 値段はさておき. この車は超かっこいいと思いませんか? So leaving the price aside, don't you think this car is super cool? So 値段は, so again, we're talking about the car. We're not changing the topic of the car here. We're still talking about the car, but we're talking about different aspects of the car. And we're going to leave one aspect aside using さておき. So that's 値段. 値段 is the price. はさておき. Put that over here. この車は, so this car is the new topic. 超かっこいい. It's super cool. と思いませんか? So don't you think that this car is super cool? Don't you think? Next sentence is 美味しいかどうかはさておくとして、白子はとてもユニークな見た目です. So leaving aside whether or not it tastes good, 白子 has a very unique look. Indeed it does. Well, it just looks like a brain. But anyway, so this is not a noun you may have noticed, although かどうか can be treated as if it is a noun. かどうか means whether or not. And that's actually exactly what's happening here. We have an e adjective that is modified by かどうか. So whether or not it's delicious. That whole thing can be treated as a noun. Whether or not it's delicious. I don't know whether or not it is. はさておくとして. So we're not going to talk about whether or not it tastes good. It doesn't. Well, actually, the taste is not a problem. It's the feel of it. We're going to leave that aside. はさておくとして。白子は So we're talking about 白子. とてもユニーク. So a very unique, obviously. Na, unique is an adjective, surprisingly. I guess that's not surprising. A lot of loan words like this are adjectives. Na, 見た目です. 見た目 is a common word that means the way it looks. The way something looks. It's a 変な見た目. It looks weird or something like that. Anyway, 見た目です. So it's a very unique look. Our next one is 妻の意見はさておいて、このゲームを買おうと思っている。So, leaving aside my wife's opinion, I'm thinking I'll go ahead and buy this game. 妻の意見 So, my wife's opinion. 意見 is opinion はさておいて. So, you'll notice that we are using a different conjugation here. さておいて. So, I'm using the te form here of a shorter version. さておいて. I'm going to leave that right there. And このゲームを So, this game is the direct object of 買おうと思っている。I'm thinking I'll go ahead and buy this game. 何はさておき、今は仕事に集中しなければいけない。So leaving aside everything else, I need to focus on work right now. So you can also use question words like this to mean leaving aside everything else or leaving aside everyone else, depending on what your question word is here. But here it's 何はさておき. So leaving aside everything else. Whatever you want to talk about, we're leaving all that aside. 今は right now 仕事に in the direction of work 集中しなければいけない. We must focus on work, or I must focus on work. Which brings us to the conversation. Let's go ahead and get Yuki over here. Yuki is going to be... Yuki は誰になりたいんですか？最悪の人か最悪の人。どっちになるんですか？
両方最悪の人じゃないですか。
はいはい。Yuki じゃあ、A 君になる？
はい。
はい、Yuki は A 君です。
私 A 君なんだ。はい、わかりました。
よろしくお願いいたします。
どういうふうにデートを誘ったらいいのかな？マジ思いつかない。
A さんのデート攻略計画はさておくとして、明日忙しい？
攻略って、おい、言い方を変えてくれない？ C さんをゲームみたいになんて考えてない。俺の心は C さんだけに。
はいはい。先週は D さんだけの俺の心だったけどな。
やかましいぞ。
Okay, we're gonna read it at full speed, then we'll break it down.
どういうふうにデートに誘ったらいいのかな？マジ思いつかない。
A さんのデート攻略計画はさておくとして、明日忙しい？
攻略って多い。言い方を変えてくれない？ C さんをゲームみたいになんて考えてない。俺の心は C さんだけに。
はいはい。先週は D さんだけの俺の心だけけどね。だったけどな。
やかましいぞ。
Alright, breaking it down. We have お願いします。Could you read all these for us?
どういうふうにデートに誘ったらいいのかな？マジ思いつかない。
So I wonder in what way I should invite her on a date. I can't think of anything. So breaking it down, we have どういうふうに means in what way. どういうふうにデートに so in the direction of a date 誘ったらいいのかな? So I wonder in what way I should or could invite her on a date or them on a date. マジ思いつかない means マジ is like super思いつかない. I can't think of anything. So I can't think of anything at all. That Maji is really emphasizing it. Then we have
A さんのA さんのデート攻略計画はさておくとして、明日忙しい？
Putting aside your dating attack strategy, you busy tomorrow? So you have A さんの So this is A さん 's デート攻略計画. So 攻略 means an attack or an attack plan or strategy. 計画 is just plan, of course. So your attack strategy for a date. はさておくとして So we're going to leave that aside. 明日忙しい？ Are you busy tomorrow?
攻略っておい、言い方を変えてくれない？ C さんをゲームみたいになんて考えてない。俺の心は C さんだけに。
So we have 攻略って。So attack strategy, you say? Oi, hey! 言い方を変えてくれない Won't you change the way you put that? 言い方 is the way you put something. 変えてくれない Won't you change it for me? C さんを So C さん now, the person we're talking about, C さん is the direct object of ゲームみたいに So like a game なんて考えてない Something like a game I'm not thinking of her as. So 俺の心は So my heart is C さんだけに Just for C. I will only give my heart to C or something. And then B さん says
はいはい。先週は D さんだけの俺の心だったけどな。
Okay. Last week it was I'll only give my heart to D, but whatever. So we have breaking it down. Hi. Okay. 先週は So as for last week, D さんだけの俺の心. This is a quotation. It says, My heart is just for D さんだったけどな. And that's what it's just the past tense. It's only that, but whatever.
やかましいぞ。
Yakamashi, you'll hear this one in anime a lot. It's shut up, man. All right.
まあ、簡単に言うと take it back という。
Take it back. Tell him, take it back. Take it back. Shut up. Which brings us to question time.
はい。あなたのやりたい〇〇はさておくとして、今は〇〇をしなければいけないことは何ですか？
So we want us to tell you your thing that you want to do, but that you have to put aside because you have to do something else right now. So this is what I want to do. やりたい〇〇はさておくとして。So we're going to put that aside. 今は So right now, something をしなければいけない. So you just need to fill in these circles. And you don't have to have やりたい, of course. But we do have 遊びたい or きたい. So the thing you want to do, 〇〇はさておくとして. Like this one.
遊びたい予定はさておくとして、今は部屋を掃除しなければいけない。
So the plan I had that I 遊びたい予定. So my plan to want to play or have fun はさておくとして. So we're going to leave that aside. 今は So right now 部屋を So the room is the direct object of 掃除しなければいけない. I have to clean the room.
着たいドレスはさておいて、今はスーツを着なければいけな
This
い。
is a little bit of a shorter version of this, but means the same thing. 着たいドレス So the dress I want to wear はさておいて We're going to put that aside. 今はスーツを着なければいけない. Because right now I have to wear a suit. So how about you? Something you want to do? But you have to put aside because you have to do something else. Please tell us about that. In any case, with いずれにしてもせよ or しろ. So you can change that last part to either of those three. しても is the most conversational of the three, surprisingly. Like just looking at it, in my opinion, just looking at it without knowing what it was before, it feels like いずれにしろ or いずれにせよ seems less formal. To me, just looking at it without knowing it from the beginning, right? But that's not the case. いずれにしても is the more casual, a conversational version of this, and seo and shiro are the written versions of in any case or either way or regardless of what way it will go, I have to do this anyway, something like that. So it sort of presents a new situation in the way that there's a few different ways this could go, but regardless of that, I have to do X. And X is whatever comes after いずれにしても or seo or shiro. And remember, seo is and shiro are written versions of this. You're not going to really hear those in conversation. いずれにしても can be used in either speaking or writing. And it's just a phrase on its own that usually comes at the beginning of a sentence or in the middle like this. So let's go ahead and break down this sentence. We have この状況ではいずれにしても人手が足りないから手伝いを呼びましょう. So in this situation, we don't have enough manpower in any case. So let's call for help. So that's in any case as いずれにしても. So この状況では. So in this situation, この状況, in this situation we're in, いずれにしても in any case, 人手が足りない. 人手 is manpower. が足りない. 足りる means to have enough of. 足りない means to not have enough of. So we don't have enough manpower anyway, or in any case. That's the いずれにしても part. から, so 手伝いを, so 手伝い is help. を direct object of 呼びましょう. Let's go ahead and call for help. Alright, we have a longer sentence here. We have 一つもリュックがないからいずれにしても来週の登山用に 新しいリュックがいります。So I don't have even a single backpack, so I need a new backpack for mountain climbing next week anyway. Breaking it down, we have 一つも, so not even one. リュックがない, so that 一つも, that mo plus a nai is not even one. から, so I don't even have one backpack. リュック is a backpack, so いずれにしても, in any case, 来週の next week's 登山用に so 登山 is mountain climbing, so for mountain climbing に in that direction 新しいリュック so new backpack がいります I need a new backpack for mountain climbing next week in any case because I don't even have one literally going backwards いずれにせよいずれにせよテストに申し込んでいるから今からでも勉強した方がいいですよOoh, that was not fun. Anyway, in any case, you've signed up for the test, so you should start studying even from now, So breaking it down, we have the written version here of いずれにせよ. Why is that so hard for me to say? I have no... You guys try saying it? Can you guys try saying it wherever you are and see if it's a tongue twister? Yuki, go ahead.
いずれにせよ
Of course, you have no problem with that. いずれにせよ. For some reason, that れにせよ. いずれにせよ. いずれにせよ. That is really hard for me to say. いずれにせよ. Woo! I want to say いずれにしよ for some reason. いずれにせよ. Woo!
よかったね。違う言い方があって。
そうだね。いずれにしても。That's my one. はい。Maybe that's why this one's written. Anyway, so in any case, テストに申し込んでいる. So you are signed up for a test. So, から。今から from now でも so even from now 勉強した方がいい you should study ですよ and we're emphasizing that to them you know you should really start studying now because you already signed up for that test いずれにせよいずれにせよいずれにせよ okay I got it let's see if this one's easier to say another written version we have いずれにoh that one's hard too いずれにしろいずれにしろまた来週歯医者に行くことになるでしょう So either way, I will probably end up having to go to the dentist again next week. No matter what happens here, I gotta go to the dentist next week. いずれにしろ Okay, また来週 So next week again 歯医者に So in the direction of the dentist 行くことになるでしょう I'm gonna probably have to go to the dentist next week as well. So that なるでしょう is the probably or I think. 行くことになる It's gonna become a situation where I need to go to the dentist again next week, regardless probably. And we have A talking here. It says 部長にさらに仕事を頼まれたどっちみち今日は残業しなければ帰れないし頑張るか So the department head asked me to do even more work. I can't go home unless I do overtime anyway, so I might as well do my best. All right, breaking this one down, we've got a super Japanese sentence here. It's 部長に, so in the direction of 部長, so from them, from the department head. さらに, so even more. 仕事を, so work is the direct object of 頼まれた. I was requested to do more work from 部長. どっちみち, so どっちみち, this is not one that was brought up in the beginning of this section, but it means exactly the same thing. いずれにしても in conversation is said even more frequently as どっちみち どっちみち or どちら Dochi is the shortened version of どっちみち so this is a very conversational いずれにしても so regardless or anyway or either way 今日は so today that's the topic emphasizing this part 残業しなければ so if I don't do overtime 帰れない I can't go home し since I can't go home anyway I guess I might as well 頑張るか I guess I'll go ahead and do my best Here we have a child and their mother talking, and the kid says, お母さん、シャンプーがなくなったから買いに行きたいな。Mom, we ran out of shampoo, so I want to go shopping. どっちにしろ、今日買い物に行くから、ドラッグストアにも行こうか。So I'm going shopping today anyway, so we might as well go to the drugstore too. So here's another phrase that is just like いずれにしても and どっちみち that is very more common in conversation than any of those and it's どっちにしろ but it means exactly the same thing. So お母さん so mom シャンプー shampoo is shampoo がなくなった so it's disappeared we're out から so 買いに行きたいな I want to go to the store or go buy some or yeah go shopping どっちにしろ so in regardless or in any case 今日 today 買い物に行く I'm going shopping so からドラッグストアに so in the direction of the drugstore にも also 行こうか Why don't we go ahead to the drugstore as well? And that brings us to the dialogue. Let's get Yuki back over here. I believe Yuki is A.
はい。
はい。
それで明日は何かあるの？
いや、街に行きたいんだけど、車に乗せてってくれないか聞こうと思って。
そうか。まあ、いずれにしても町に用事があるから乗せて行ってあげるよ。
サンキュー。
明日は町で何する予定？
秘密。はい、ポスピード。
それで明日は何かあるの？
いや、街に行きたいんだけど、車に乗せてってくれないか聞こうと思って。
そうか。まあ、いずれにしても町に用事があるから乗せて行ってあげるよ。
サンキュー。
明日は町で何する予定？
秘密。Alright, breaking it down, we have.
それで明日は何かあるの？
Anyway, do you have something tomorrow? So, それで is anyway, or in any case, or, and then, 明日は so as for tomorrow, なんかあるの? You have something?
いや、町に行きたいんだけど、車に乗せてってくれないか聞こうと思って。
Nah, I want to go into town, but I was thinking I'd ask you if you'd mind driving me in. So, いや、町に行きたいんだけど so this んだけど is the explanatory one, and it's 町に行きたい I want to go to town. 車に so in the direction of your car or in your car 乗せてってくれないか so I was won't you let me drive in your car, let me in your car or take me in your car か so that's the question, marking it as a question 聞こうと思って so I was thinking I was gonna ask if you wouldn't mind letting me in your car to take me to town. That's what's implied here.
そうか。まあ、いずれにしても町に用事があるから乗せて行ってあげるよ。
I see. Well, I have something to do in town anyway, so I'll bring you in, man. そうか. I see. まあ, well, いずれにしても in any way, in any case, 町に用事がある. So I have something to do in town. 用事 is like just something that I have to do. Personal thing to do in town. から, so 乗せて行ってあげるよ. So I'll go ahead and drive you in for you is the あげる part. よ. Thank you. It's just thank you. はい。
はい。明日は町で何する予定？
What are you planning to do in town tomorrow? 明日は町で so in town, utilizing town. 何する予定? What's your plan to do?
秘密。
It's a secret. Okay. Question time.
あなたのいずれにしろ起こるする予定は何ですか？
All right, so no matter what happens, in any case, you have to do this thing, or you have a plan to do this thing. What is that thing?
いずれにしろ来月は病院に行く予定です。
Regardless of what happens, or in any case, I have to go to the hospital next week. 来週は so next week, or 来月は next month. 病院に in the direction of the hospital 行く予定 I have a plan to go です。
いずれにしろ来年はおばあちゃんが日本に遊びに来る予定です。
So, regardless of what happens, or in any case, 来年 next year はおばあちゃんが my grandmother 日本に in the direction of Japan 遊びに来る予定です。So, she has a plan to come to Japan to hang out. So how about you guys? What is something that's going to happen regardless of the situation for you?
Hi.
This is one of those phrases that you're probably not going to hear very frequently in conversation. Not a whole lot. There's a few phrases like this in Quartet that, you know, they're not super common in conversation. They're much more book related, especially in Quartet 2. There's a few though in Quartet 2 that, like the last one or the very first one in this lesson, are fairly common in conversation. Like last week's lesson, we had kanenai, which like that one you hear a lot, especially if you're reading books or watching, you know, TV or anime or whatever. When a character's doing narration or exposition, it shows up a lot. So there are plenty of things in Quartet 2 which are very common in conversation. but this is not one of them. This is not necessarily とばかりは言えない。とばかりは言えない。It's very similar to or almost identical to とは限らない, which we learned a couple lessons ago, which means it's not necessarily. It means the same thing, right? It means in Japanese, the definition of it is ではない場合もある. So there's situations where this is not the case. So this thing that seems to be obvious, there's situations where it's not the case. So to use it, we attach it to the short form of a verb. So a phrase that ends in the short form of a verb, dictionary form usually. E adjective on its own, doesn't need anything between it. An adjective will have da or de aru between it and とばかりは言えない. And a noun can optionally have da, so it doesn't necessarily need it. You could just have noun とばかりは言えない or de aru とばかりは言えない. So you can't necessarily say that noun or verb or something something. There are situations that are not that way. So for example, we start off with any adjective we have 今はテレビの情報が必ず正しいとばかりは言えない時代です。So it is an age when you can't necessarily say that everything on TV is correct, for sure. So 今は, so right now, テレビの情報, so the information on TV, が, that's emphasizing that whole thing, making it the subject, 必ず正しい, so without fail, correct, とばかりは言えない. So you can't always say that everything on TV is correct without fail. 時代です, so that whole sentence modifies age. 時代です, so it's the age or the time in, history when not everything you hear on TV is necessarily correct. And I'm sure that all times in history have been that way. But anyway, 高級なものがいいとばかりは言えないでしょう. So I think, that's the でしょう, that you can't necessarily say that, とばかりは言えない. Expensive things are good. You could also rephrase this as とは限らない. So 高級なものがいいものだと限らない or something like that. Next one is 一人暮らしはいつもいいとばかりは言い切れない. So you can't just say that living alone is always good. You'll notice a little difference here. We have とばかりは言えないんじゃなくて, not that. We have とばかりは言い切れない. Means the same thing. It's just another way of saying. You can't just stop and say that something is this case. Means the same thing. So 一人暮らし, living alone, は, that's the topic. いつも, all the time, いい. So it's always good. とばかりは言い切れない. You can't just say that living alone is always good. 大学に行った全員が勉強ができる人たちであるとばかりは言えないでしょう. So you can't necessarily say that everyone who went to university is good at studying, I think. So that I think is the でしょう. And we have a noun, so 人たち. So we're modifying that with である. You wouldn't necessarily need it, but you can have it. It makes it a little bit more formal. So 大学に, so in university. 行った全員, so everyone that went to university が, so we're emphasizing those people, they're the subject. 勉強ができる人たち, so they're people that can study or are good at studying. It means they're good at studying, basically, or they're smart, is what you could think of this as. である, so they are people who are smart or can study. とばかりは言えないでしょう. So I think that it's not always the case that people who went to university, or that everyone who went to university is smart. You could shorten it to mean that. Right here we have A and B talking. We have 都会は便利で楽しくて最高の場所だよ. Cities are convenient, fun, and the best places, you know. 家賃はすごく高いし、そうとばかりは言えないと思います. So rent is super expensive and stuff. So I don't think you can necessarily say that. So you have 都会は, so that's cities and the topic. 便利で楽しくて, so they're convenient. And, excuse me, for an adjective we use de for and instead of, excuse me, the te form, because, well, that is the te form of an adjective, really. 便利で楽しくて, so they're convenient and fun and 最高の場所だよ. They're the best place. Yo. B-kun responds, 家賃はすごく高いし. So the rent, 家賃 is extremely expensive and そうとばかりは言えないと思います. So I don't think you can necessarily say that. So what that so is signifying is right here. It's signifying that sentence. I don't think you can necessarily say that. Particularly the 最高の場所だよ part. と思います. I think. Which brings us to the conversation. Let's get Yuki over here. お願いします. We'll read it full speed one time. No, we'll read it slowly one time, then at full speed, and then we'll break it down for you. はい。
なんだ、教えてくれないのか。
いや、
教えてくれないなら、乗せていくことを考え直そうかな。
実は、 C さんに会う予定なんだよ。
はあ ?C さんとデートを
二人で何かすることはデートだとばかりは言えないと思うけど。はい、full speed。
ゴゴゴゴゴゴゴゴ。
はい。
なんだ、教えてくれないのか？
いや、
教えてくれないなら乗せていくことを考え直そうかな。チラ。
実は C さんに会う予定なんだよ。
はあ ?C さんとデートを
二人で何かすることはデートだとばかりは言えないと思うけど。
ゴゴゴゴゴゴゴゴ。ちなみにこのゴゴゴはジョジョです。
と思いましたよ。
みんな知ってる？
知ってるでしょう。
これを口で言ってる人は初めて見ました。
はい。Let's go ahead and break it down. We have.
なんだ、教えてくれないのか。
What? You're not gonna tell me? なんだ What? 教えてくれないのか You're not gonna tell me?
いや、
No, or it's not that.
教えてくれないなら乗せていくことを考え直そうかな。
If you're not gonna tell me, I guess maybe I'll rethink my decision to take you in. ちら。そう、教えてくれない。So if you won't tell, なら。So if it's true you're not gonna tell me, 乗せていくこと。So the thing which is taking you in to town. を考え直そうかな。I think maybe I'll rethink that.
ねえねえ、そのチラってなんていうの英語で。
There's nothing in English for チラ。
なんか
or for go, 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 go. There's nothing.
そう
We don't have those types of words. It's an
あ、そうですか。
unfortunate fact of English
あ
and a
ー
wonderful feature of Japanese.
あ、そうなんだ。
はい。チラ。
実は C さん、あ、これはちょっとあれだね。実は C さんに会う予定なんだよ。
The truth is, I have a plan to meet C. Actually. 実は, so the truth is, or honestly, C さんに, so in the direction of C さん, who we were talking about in the first section, 会う予定. So I have a plan to meet C. なんだよ, actually. は
はあ ?C さんとデートを
What? With C? A date? は is what? C さんと with C? デート A date? はい。
二人で何かすることはデートだとばかりは言えないと思うけど。
You can't necessarily say that two people doing something together is a date, I think, but... So, 二人で, so together as a two, a pair. 何かする, so doing something, こと. So the thing which is doing something together as a pair はデートだ, is a date. とばかりは言えない. You can't always say that, or you can't necessarily say that と思うけど, I think, but... And that's that. Question time.
はい。〇〇は健康にいい、悪い、some adjectives とばかりは言えないと思っているあなたの意見を教えてください。
So please tell us something that you think is not always necessarily bad or not always necessarily good for health. And you can use this pattern. Something something は健康に good or bad. いい、悪いとばかりは言えない。と思う。For example.
はい。卵のコレステロールは健康に悪いとばかりは言えないと思います。
So 卵のコレステロール。So cholesterol from eggs or egg cholesterol は、健康に悪い。So it's bad for health とばかりは言えないと思います。I think you can't always say that.
食物繊維は健康にいいとばかりは言えないと思います。
So 食物繊維 is dietary fiber は direct as the topic, emphasizing this part. 健康にいい so it's good for health とばかりは言えない。You can't always say that と思います。I think. So how about you guys? Thumbs up を攻撃してください. Please smash the thumbs up button. It really does help. We really do appreciate it. If you hated the stream, you can hit the thumbs down, but make sure you hit it twice because otherwise it doesn't count. In my book. チャンネル登録お願いします. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell if you haven't already so you know when we go live next time.
お疲れ様です。
お疲れ様でした。
またね。
Planning to use these books to learn Japanese in 2022? We explain all the grammar from these books and more here on YouTube in detail. And on TokiNiAndy.com, we have tons of extra grammar explanations, interactive practice exercises with Yuki and I, native shadowing exercises so you can get practice speaking even when you're by yourself, tests, and even progress bars to track your progress through the book. We also plan on beginning to add tons of level-appropriate immersion material throughout 2022. We even have a new exclusive community for members where they can ask questions, help each other, and even play silly Japanese word games. Over 1,800 people have already utilized the TokiNiAndy and Yuki premium content. Join the community today and kickstart your Japanese learning journey.